Hi, I'm Melanie Hunter. I'm going to attempt to show you how to get through the CSUN intern process. There are tons of documents that you need to submit and to create in order to do this application. But the main document you want to start with is this submission checklist. I'll put a link on where you can find it in the description. The CSUN website for interns, pictured here, is mildly helpful and is the location of all of the documents that you need. However, finding each one of them can be very complicated. This document in particular, this website in particular, is really helpful. It has a step-by-step instruction. What I did was I took this document and I broke it down into a numbered list, which I'll also upload a digital version of. So there's actually 22 steps just for doing the application process with CSUN. And it includes working with the place where you have your job offer and the place and through CSUN. So stick with me and I'll go through all these steps for you. One is completing your CSUN graduate application. Notice how there are specific fields that have to be completed, indicating that you are credential only, that your degree objective is none, and that you're planning to apply to a credential program this term, and that you're seeking a single subject credential, which would be if you're teaching math or a specific science or anything at the secondary level. And have you been admitted to the credential program you're seeking? No. The second step is to apply to the CSUN online credential application itself. This requires all of these documents: basic skills verification, early field experience, your fingerprint clearance, which is called live scan. Any foreign transcripts need to be submitted. You need a letter of good standing if required from your previous institution, 2 letters of recommendation, a statement of objective, which is kind of like a college entrance essay, subject matter competency, which is shown through the CSET and the CBEST, and finally TB screening. That encompasses number 4 through 7 of my list of things that you have to accomplish. In addition, you need to submit any transcripts from any previous universities that you have. Many universities these days do this online, so you can submit this straight from the online systems. They will mail them direct. I also recommend getting a copy of your transcript for your purposes, because when you go to apply for your job, you'll need additional copies to provide to the school district for your scores. After you've submitted your entire application to the CSUN credential program, then you'll need to complete a program interview. This is an interview where you go into CSUN, and they usually do it like in a group interview format, and you meet with one of the professors and they ask you some questions. Okay, so now I have covered steps 1 through 11. The next ones are more specific to preparing you to become a teacher immediately without having gone through any of the training. So there are a number of different pre-service requirements. The first would be the U.S. Constitution test. For the U.S. Constitution test, I would recommend that you are very careful in scheduling this. My paper here says it's every Monday at UCLA, but it actually is not. I found that the scheduling, especially during the summer, was very difficult. I actually wound up having to leave my retreat with my new staff from my new school in August in order to go and get that test done. The document I was provided about the U.S. Constitution test. It's based on this book, and it's really not a very hard test. It's multiple choice questions, and I think you can get a pretty low score. In addition to completing the U.S. Constitution test, you also need to do some modules that will be given to you by the intern coordinator. The 5 modules that are provided from CSUN's intern program are actually things that are really useful that you probably want to do anyway. So one is preparing for the first day. You write a letter to the parents, set up your classroom rules, think about other things that might be important to you on the first day of school. This was really helpful for me because I actually wanted to go through and think about this stuff anyways, and there's tons of readings in here, lots of information on how you can do this. This was like extremely valuable for me. The second module is all about lesson planning. So you're going to go look at different lesson plan examples, and then work through to write a few lessons. This is a really helpful packet here as well. Classroom management. This is like something that first-time teachers always struggle with, of course. And so this was a useful module as well. It had a lot of information about how to really kind of like basic things that every kind of experienced teacher knows, I think, about how to manage a classroom, what's important and what's going to help you. Then there's a module about assessment, talking about how you write exams, how you grade exams, that sort of thing. And then finally, a module about communication skills. This was also really interesting. There's a lot of good readings in here that you can go through and learn a lot. Okay, finally, there's one last pre-service like education requirement, and that is the Teaching English Learners pre-service course. This is a course that's available through CSUN's extension program, and I took it over the summer, and it was like $500. The professor was really nice, and she was pretty understanding, and we just basically worked through like an online Moodle course and completed a bunch of different assignments talking about English learners, doing some reading and that sort of thing. Okay, this is where we get into the kind of more interesting parts of the intern application. There's a lot of different things here, and it wasn't totally clear to me what was actually required and not required. So for example, the intern application says to include a color copy of your CSUN ID or passport photo, but look, here are my 2 passport photos that I went out and got and made a big deal about going to like the drugstore and taking the pictures. And we wound up not using them or turning them in. As you can see, I have both of them still. There's also this thing called the intern questionnaire, which is actually just part of the overall application to the intern program. It's like on page 3 sort of the intern application. So it asks you, have you completed the intern questionnaire? And the answer is yes. Here it is. Okay, it's on the version that I completed. It's on page 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I thought this was a completely separate thing, and I couldn't find it for the longest time, but I found it eventually. Okay. Next, the actual intern application checklist is something that you're going to want to complete. So this is the page I showed at the very beginning of the video. It's got, this is from the first page of the application if you download that from the CSUN website. It's got a checklist of all the stuff that you have to complete. As you can see, this was kind of in process for me, all this stuff. So some of this I had completed and some of it I had not yet. After you've completed all of this and you've been accepted to CSUN, and you've been accepted to the Credential program, then you get to go bring all of this to, and I have Carolyn written here, but now it's Dr. David Mogel, and they'll go over and make a plan with you. You also need to bring with you letter of internship, a bit of eligibility, although I think I didn't actually need to bring this. And then they'll create a plan for you, which is actually page 7 of the intern application. Okay, this is a blank version of that plan. So this will walk you through all the courses that you're going to take, and you're going to plan on when you'll take them. In addition, you need to have obtained a firm job offer, which usually is required. Usually you'll need a letter stating that you have this job offer. Okay, finally, 21 and 22. These are like the last steps. Okay, this whole thing took me like 4 months. All right, so then you do the credential request form, which is submitted to CSUN. You print it out, sign it, I think, and I think that your employer also signs it. So then, the very final step will be the intern authorization for employment. This is also a form that's available online. I'm going to sign it, then the school that I'm applying to and working at signs it, then CSUN signs it, and then it goes to the credential office, and then it goes to the state of California, and then all the shenanigans that happen there happen. If you've completed all of these things on this list here, then you are hopefully eligible to work as an intern teacher. It's very rewarding. It's really a fun way to learn how to teach. It's a lot of work, more work than my engineering degree was, more work than my master's degree was. It's a really intense process, but I highly recommend it. While you're taking credential classes at CSUN, you're able to learn what's good and what's not so good as they're teaching you these different methods. Or even better, you can go and you can try them the first day. So at night, on Monday night, they teach you how to do cold calling, and the next day you go do it and you see whether or not it works for you in your classroom. It's really a cool way to learn how to be a teacher, and it's really great too because you get your full salary. Okay, I hope this video was helpful for you. I know that it's pretty crazy. It's a really overwhelming experience. I went through this process over the course of like 2 months, 3 months maybe at the most. And it's a hard process. It takes a lot of work. So I hope that this video helps you explain things. Feel free to contact me through YouTube if you have more questions. Thanks. Bye.